It is your favorite nerdy girl here, Nerdy Girl Reviews, and we are back with another recap for P-Valley. I'm gonna do my best to break down the last 4 episodes, so the first reviews might be the third and fourth episodes of P-Valley Season 2, currently streaming on Stars, and then the follow-up will be the following episodes, the last 2 episodes of P-Valley. If you'd like to see and hear my full commentary, keep me liked here on YouTube. If you're watching this on Instagram, click the link in bio. If you're watching this on IG Stories, click on the link. It'll link you back to my YouTube channel. I'm also available on TikTok under Nerdygirlreviews. And if you'd like to catch my other recaps, you can find me on sofritoforyoursoul.com. Stay tuned, y'all. I know I played this for the last review, but it's a pretty bop. It's a pretty good bop. Sorry, it's a catchy tune. Again, our incredible cast of actors who also dabble as musicians. So of course this would come together perfectly. Little Murder, whose real name is J. Alphonse Nicholson, and he has a background in music. He was a musician for a number of years, and even went to college to study a major in music, but eventually it evolved into theater. A lot of people, you kind of catch the acting bug. So, and rightfully so, because y'all, how do I explain this? This season has been an incredible backstory, and we've delved more into the character developments of each story and story arc when it comes to these characters. They've touched on so many subjects and taboos. They've delved into things that are current and relevant, and perhaps things that aren't something that a lot of people want to address. For the most part, they just want to sweep under the rug. And again, I know this show in particular, which, let me read you a title real quick. Now, this ran on the Washington Post. It is, I believe, one of the many gems, and it truly is a gem for anybody who loves stories and storytelling. One of the most coveted gems in recent television programming. The first season, this is a quote, the first season of P-Valley, the superb strip club drama created by Pulitzer Prize winning playwright Katori Hall, debuted in summer 2020. COVID takes center stage in season 2 as the black women and queer folk who work at and occasionally find refuge in the show's legendary Mississippi club struggle to stay afloat in a pandemic economy. An excellent ensemble, beautifully realized characters, and urgent social critique continue the series' mission to humanize sex workers and celebrate their creativity, independence, and hustle while empathetically depicting their fight not to be pigeonholed by their line of work. That's beautifully summed up right there. And that's what the last few episodes, I mean, we already had a really great intro. Dazzling cinematography. Literally every episode feels like you're watching a movie. Very reminiscent of Moonlight. I think I mentioned in my first review for the season, the first 2 episodes, every shot is just so beautifully shot, and in the way it bounces off of skin, and how it just like showcases black skin so beautifully. I swear it reminds me of Moonlight. Those jewel tone celluloids that just complements every actor. Everybody looks beautiful and almost near angelic. I mean, for this episode that we're reviewing currently, this is entitled The Dirty Dozen. And now we pick up where we left off when it comes to Keyshawn and how she was able to finagle her way into a tour. Again, it's beneficial for her family. She is the only breadwinner of the home, and she's been the sole breadwinner since the very beginning of this relationship. But we'll fast forward into that, or get into that when we get to that particular episode. So she's on the road with the guys, but it really does feel like like she's just riding with her brothers. Like, it's a very family oriented feel, even though they are still pushing that Keyshawn and Little Murder are an item. And a lot of his new songs that he's developing while on the road, I think there's one called Champagne Campaign, which was pretty good bop too, pretty good. And so they're kind of going visiting city through city. We're seeing how they're trying to maintain this lifestyle, maintain basically stardom during COVID. And I can only imagine, and we have kind of like a front row seat of what it could have been for a number of up and rising stars, musicians that really were kind of cut off at the knees because everything was just so COVID iffy. They're going town to town. You can see also the precautions, even with the emphasis of the masks, and how their creative ways of incorporating them into this season as well, and how the protocols really took a toll on a lot of these businesses, which is very truthful, and again, I've mentioned, very true to real life. And there's instances, aside from the fact that I love how, I think I've said this already, how Uncle Clifford is beautifully dressed. I mean, from the wigs to the makeup to just certain accessories accentuate his body. Oh, I love it. I love it. But we see all the things that goes on during road life, and basically how problematic it gets. Also, we kind of were left in this iffy sentiment when it came to Little Murder and T, which is supposed to be his longtime friend who unfortunately was incarcerated for a number of years, and Wody, who's Little Murder's road manager, bails him out. Oh no, I'm sorry, he's done his time and is going back into after he's been quote unquote rehabilitated, to go back into the world and live his life. And of course, he's looking for employment, so what better way to have employment than to already safeguard the person that you know best. And there's already issues because you could see Keyshawn's manager of Rome, which I'm assuming is a nickname for Jerome, but that he's known here as Rome. And you can see that there's instances that looks like he genuinely cares for her at the beginning, but there's still something looming that he just feels on the slimy side. But he's very interested in getting Keyshawn noticed and known, and he's working on all these deals for her, and she's just she's loving it, because who wouldn't? Somebody who was still working at a club now and she was already attracting attention on her own, like a lot of girls do. I mean, not for nothing, up until this point, before it was stardom for Cardi, that's how she got known. I think that's even perhaps how she even got on Love and Hip Hop, because she was already established on Instagram. And not for nothing, yes, the show has a feel of Love and Hip Hop, but I want to make it a point that although we are, and we're kind of thankful for reality television, because it did allow for a number of people of color to be seen and heard. Unfortunately, reality TV is only limited to, it feels very much like reality TV for me and I'm speaking for myself, I feel like it was the successor of what talk shows, and especially like smutty talk shows like the Jerry Springers of their day, the Maury Povich show, right? That was very like, just exploiting the worst of people of color, and always it going to the hands and always going constantly to fistfights for ratings. So there are instances of that here that again are true to life. Sometimes it can happen. It can get very catty, but it's very much enveloped in story. And this is, I want to make it a point here in my review that how these stories are very important. Like scripted shows with an incredible talented cast are still very much relevant for entertainment. For a while, I feel like, especially when it came to like VH1, it was this constant, you know, literally like reality show after reality show after reality show. And again, it was a plateau, was a platform for people of color to even showcase, because again, you either had reality TV or you had ABC or NBC programming or CBS that only catered to a particular demographic, and only showcased X amount of melanin on on their screens, right? Seinfeld, Friends, Mad About You. All these shows were very much just white centric. And you don't have and if you had a person of color, they were kind of in the background. Or if they were family oriented, they were very like family shows, but rarely did we see instances of the human condition like we did with reality TV. So I feel like this is like an amalgamation of everything put together, and that's what we're seeing for this particular show. And kudos to Starz for being innovative and brave enough to put this type of programming. And this is what we need. We need more of this. I always relate more to these shows because, again, it's just so unapologetically, brutally honest, and I love that about these shows. So, getting back to that point, we see that the pandemic has hit hard, and not only did it affect businesses, but also even it also, unfortunately, was an avenue for food insecurities as well. A lot of people were finding themselves, insecure and not having the funds or the ability to find certain just certain items at all. Remember when everybody was going to the supermarkets and like raiding every aisle? And it wasn't just particularly like toilet paper. We're talking about just canned goods. You couldn't find anything, and people were literally starving. So somehow Catholic Charities and a number of other